Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another After Effects episode. This is our episode 2 of the series Basic Adobe After Effects Animations and Other Things. So today's episode, as you know, we are going to be talk about how you can import your files inside Adobe After Effects and how you can work on your Photoshop layers inside Adobe After Effects and how you can do a little animation like a small logo animation and some other basic things about Adobe After Effects. So let's get started. Alright, now I'm currently sitting on my default Adobe After Effects screen. You can see here is my welcome screen. As I told you, I always prefer show welcome screen at startups so I get access on my recent projects and other things. So for this tutorial, let me close this for a moment. And now first we make a composition 1920 by 1080 and the animation duration is 10 seconds long, and then hit OK. Then we make our background first. Make a solid, any color, doesn't matter, because we are going to be change this thing to our gradient ramp effect. Let me type ramp here and just click and drag it on this solid, or you can also drag here. Okay, let me change my workspace to one of the workspace that I made for myself. Yes, that's perfect. Let me come to the effect and control panel. If you don't see this panel, just go to the Windows option and click on effect and control. Alright, first let me change this to radial and start ramp from the mid of document. And let me click on the swipe color and the outer color. Let me choose something, maybe a lemon yellow. Okay, perfect. And then hit OK. Let me lock this layer, so accidentally if I click here, so my layer is locked, my background is locked actually. And just hide it before lock your layer. Click on this little icon and then you can click here, hide all layers for switch shadow. Okay, boom. Alright, first let me change this to animation to hit OK and just create a folder inside our project, call it composition. So all the composition will go inside this compositions folder. Okay, now let's import your Adobe Photoshop layers inside Adobe After Effects. So there is a lot of way to import your files in Adobe After Effects. If you are prefer to use your keyboard shortcut, then Control I is the shortcut to import the files. And if you want to import from the files, then click on the file menu, import, and then click import. Or you can double click in project panel and import your files. Alright, so I prefer this way, double click here and then let me import. We come to the tutorials folder and then here is my Adobe After Effects Basics Lesson 2 footage and here a long shadow folder. Okay, as you click on the PSD layer, you got these some options you can import as. So I am going to use these elements as a separate layer. So let me click on composition, retain layer size. And if you have multiple render, like you render your logo in Cinema 4D or some other 3D software, so you have to click Photoshop sequence. But for this tutorial I have a single file, so uncheck this thing, make sure this thing is unchecked, and composition, retain layer size, and click on the import button. Okay, here is again a dialog box that asks me what kind of your import. My import is composition and the layer is separate, and here is editable layers. If you click here, you merge all the layers. but if you click editable layer size, you have separate layers. Okay, hit the OK button. Now I have another composition, like here if I double click, so here is my second composition. If I want to check the size, let me Control K from my keyboard, and you can see here is my 1920 by 1080 setting. Here is my duration and some other things. Alright, here is my background layer is separate. So let me change it to BG. Here is my ellipse tool. Here is my shadow. And here is my letter A. Okay, so we want to animate these all things. So first we turn off these two layers for a moment. Select your ellipse shape. We are playing with scale. As from my keyboard, drag this keyframe into animate almost 1 second. Come to the beginning and hit the 0. So scale is 0. Okay, this is cool animation, but we will make some fun. Let me come to around 20 frames and type 120, and let me ramp preview it. Okay, you can see, boom, this is nice animation, but we want to be more good looking animation. So select all the keyframes by clicking on the scale text here and right click, keyframe assistance and easy ease, and you can also press F9 from your keyboard. Alright, there we go. Boom. Okay, now we are going to graph editor. Click here. As you can see, I have nothing here, but if I click on the scale, I got my keyframes here, and let me expand this and select the middle keyframe. Click on this little dot and drag it something like here, and also this one. Okay, perfect. Now let me close the graph editor here and let's see what happened. Okay, you can see here is fast then slower. This looks perfect. Now we have our letter A. Let's animate this one. T from my keyboard for my opacity, and just bring the opacity to 0%, make a keyframe, come to almost 30 frames or maybe 20 and grab this to 100%, click here, right click, easy ease, keyframes. Alright, so we make this one. Okay, now we make our shadow animation. Click here, and again I am going to copy these keyframes from this layer, Ctrl C from my keyboard, come to shadow, and here is the tricky part. I am currently on my ending keyframe here, and now select the shadow layer and Ctrl V from keyboard, and if I press the letter U from my keyboard, you can see my keyframe will start right from the end of my letter A animations. Okay, let's close these all keyframes and take a ramp preview. Okay, perfect. For example, we want to change the color of these things. You have a lot of ways you can control the color inside your Adobe After Effects, but I want to control the colors from my Photoshop. Okay, so I'm on Photoshop, double click here, and I go to my production folders, tutorial folder, Adobe After Effects, basic to footage. Here is my text. Okay, here is my shadow mask, here is my text, here is my ellipse. So first click on this color because I want to change this color to be something orangish color maybe. Okay, perfect. Now for the shadow, I use the effect of color overlay. I click here and let me just make a little darker. Okay, and then hit OK, and let me press the Ctrl S. Now if I go back to my After Effects, you can see this thing will be update immediately, but the shadow will remain the color because we use effect. So if I use effect inside Photoshop, we cannot update the things. So right click on this layer and rasterize. So the effect will merge inside the shadow. Now if I press the Ctrl S and we go back to our After Effects. So we still have this layer with the old color. Okay, let me fix inside Adobe After Effects. Let me type fill here and double click on the fill effect and choose color from here first. Okay, this is still remain the old color. Let me find what is the problem with this. Alright, we have fixed this. We just pre-compose the shadow layer and we apply a fill effect and we change the color from here. Play with the color setting, no problem. You can use any type of color. Okay, now let me do another effect on shadow. Let me grab ellipse tool and I mask it. Something should be here and then press the letter F from my keyboard and feather it out like this one. Okay, let me log this. So you got another kind of effect, and here is our simple animation. If you want to change the background color, you can change inside Adobe After Effects. Let me type the ramp effect, gradient ramp, apply it to my background layer. First let me pre-compose this one, background layer, and then apply our gradient and also change the color to radial, and then we choose the color like from our shadow. Maybe something look nice. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, now I am going to pre-compose my ellipse layer also. Hit OK, and now we are applying our drop shadow effect here. Okay, you can see a little drop shadow appear here, but we will make a little feather softness just a bit, and the opacity is 75%, and the distance we will make a long distance, and maybe I will set to 40%, and distance is 8 is good. Okay, but now you can see your ellipses coming, then your text, and then your shadow. So we make this animation inside Adobe After Effects. This is a cool logo animation. You can create your own text, your own shapes, and you can try these same methods. If you want to edit anything, double click on the layer, and if you click here, then press the letter U, so you got all your keyframes inside your pre-composition. Okay, so here is our simple tip about animating your Photoshop layer inside Adobe After Effects. Now we will go back. Now we will go back to our animation 2 and make some other cool effect here. Let me type here productions tutorial here, and let me type the font that I use, Unisense. It's a good family. Maybe I like to go with this font, and the size is 150 is good. Come to the middle of screen. Okay, let me change the color to maybe a dark orange color. Okay, now we will make another rectangular, and let me change to white. And I am going to back my move tool, press the letter E from your keyboard, and you're going back to your selection tool. Now hit the letter Y and you can change the anchor point. I set my anchor point here, and now hit the letter S and click on this little link icon here, so you treat the values separately. If you lock this and you change anything, you go something like this, but if you unscale it, you go something like this. Okay, let me click here and type 0. Click on the keyframe, go to 1 second animation, type 100. Click here and then click here, keyframe assistant, easy ease keyframe, then graph editor, and select this thing, and maybe I want to treat this angle. Yeah, that's perfect. Close the graph editor and you can see it is coming. Let me duplicate this one, Control D from your keyboard, and just drag it here. Change the color, something orange. Okay, there we go. We will duplicate this another time. Grab the tutorial under this one and click here and alpha matte. So as you can see, first your white solid is coming. We will grab this just there and this one just here, and take a look. I think let me change this color white to something like gray, and there we go. Now we have another tip here. If I select my text layer, hit the P from keyboard, right click and separate dimensions, and we want to treat our y-axis. Click here, then I come here and click and drag, select these two keyframes, right click, easy ease keyframe, go to graph editor, select this one and just expand it a bit, and this one. Okay, now close the graph editor and we will go to this. Okay, boom, let's see what happened. Okay, so here is your simple animation. If you want to merge your two compositions, let me tell you, select all layers, Control Shift C from keyboard for pre-compose these layers, and let me call it text. Hit OK. Now I am going to a long shadow here, and let me delete the background for a moment. Come here and let me drag it just here and import our long shadow here, and something play with the settings, maybe like this. We will drag it out, something here. Okay, let's take a preview. Okay, we make this fun. We will also scale the things. Select both and let me reposition it here. Okay, let's take a preview. Alright guys, here is today's simple animation that we finish from start to end. You can also make your own shapes and your own animations, try your own text, your own logos inside Adobe After Effects. I hope you get a lot of points in this tutorial. If you have any question, please write your question down below. And by the way, you can also check out my website. Here is my website, amirproductions.com, and you can also find some tutorials here. If you are interested to watch the tutorials Adobe After Effects, then click here. We have also animations, fiber tutorials, Photoshop tutorials, mobile tips and tricks, and you can check all the categories that I made only for you. You can check all the tutorials that we made only for you. Like we have in Photoshop, we have lots of tutorials for you guys. So make sure check out all the tutorials and let me know if you have any question. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any question, please ask me, feel free. You can contact me on social media. Find me on Facebook, Amir Productions. Next tutorial, we are talking about how you can work with your layers and how you can work your layers and how you can add some audio and some audio effects inside Adobe After Effects. Okay, take very good care of yourself. My name is Mohammed Amir. See you next time.